will be rigged.
Good morning. The number of people in work in Britain is at record highs. But who's doing all the jobs, and should there be restrictions on who can apply? I'm going to be hearing from a range of different people here at a factory in Birmingham.
6:17, employing British workers was one of the key things outlined in the Conservative Party conference. Today, official figures show how many people are out of work.
So, should businesses be doing more to employ people here before recruiting overseas? Many say they're doing just that. Victoria's at one of those places in Birmingham Forest this morning. Victoria, what happens there where you are?
Good morning to you. Good morning to you both. Well, here they actually make cooling systems from everything from buses to coaches, for example, and also for things like military vehicles as well. And would you believe they also help with the cooling of the suits that go for RAF pilots when they're sitting in those jets and waiting to be sent off? The reason I'm here is because of the thorny issue of immigration. Would you believe that there are record numbers of people in work in Britain? Over 31 million people. Now, about 28 million of them are UK nationals, but about 3.5 million or thereabouts are non-UK nationals, and a higher than average percentage work in manufacturing plants like this one. Now, this particular firm has got about 240 workers. About a quarter of them were born overseas, and they're exporting to about 28 countries right across the world. So, very international company. Now, the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, has defended her plans to try and make British firms do more to hire British workers. I'm going to be talking to the boss of this firm here about immigration and what it means for his business. So plenty more coming up in about half an hour's time, so I'll see you very soon.
Thank you very much, Victoria. See you later.
Is the time now. So we're often encouraged to buy British. Should businesses be focusing on employing British people too?
Official figures this morning will show how many people are out of work, and the government thinks that companies should be doing more to recruit workers from the UK. Many businesses say they are doing just that. Victoria is one that says so at a factory in Birmingham. Morning.
Hi, good morning to you both. Good morning to you at home. I've been here since very early in the morning watching some of the work that goes on here at this factory. Now, they're making cooling systems from everything for buses, for example, to coaches around the world, to military vehicles as well. So this is the aluminium Roger is working on at the moment. It ends up in one of these that then becomes one of these, which is far more familiar, looks a lot like a radiator. This is then effectively cooked, or the technical term is braised, and then it gets put into all the different vehicles around the world. This is a very international business. It's exporting to 28 countries around the world, places like Poland, for example, so places also in the EU, but also places like America as well. And about a quarter of the workforce here were not born in the UK, they were born overseas. Let's speak to the boss of the factory, Stuart Haitley. Now, Stuart, how is it that you've got a quarter of your workforce that is non-UK, non-British workers, but you say you're not recruiting from abroad?
We do no overseas recruitment at all. We just advertise for the normal routes, and we take the normal people who apply for jobs, and we go through a skills matrix and recruit people based on the skill set that they have. And but we also have some very specialist roles with our engineering group, and we found it particularly difficult to find specific engineers in particular areas like thermal heat transfer. It's been very difficult to recruit in the UK.
And you've recently tried to recruit these engineers, haven't you? And it's been really tricky.
We have. And we did have applicants, but strangely they all seem to be Spanish. We've had 3 thermal engineers, and all very, very qualified, educated in UK universities, but no UK applicants at all for those positions.
I just want to bring in Elizabeth Crowley, who's from the CIPD. Now, Elizabeth, the popular theory goes that if you restrict the number of people able to come into Britain to do any particular job, it means that the percentage of jobs that are left will be given to people within Britain. Is there any evidence to suggest that that's true?
I mean, that's simply not the case. Employers are recruiting migrants based on rational decision making. They possess the skills that they need to actually grow their business. Which is hardly surprising, because migrants actually in the UK are, very highly qualified and have considerable work experience.
And what about this argument that businesses are just recruiting foreign workers, either who already live here or from abroad, because they're cheaper?
I mean, well, our evidence does not bear that out. Recent survey that we did last year actually shows that the wage of a migrant is actually higher than that of a UK-born citizen. And this is because, yes, there is a concentration of migrants within low-skilled employment, but they're also at the other end of the labour market in very high-skilled professional and technical roles.
Okay, Elizabeth and Stuart, thank you very much. Now, I'm going to be here all morning listening to a range of opinions and a range of views on this very thorny issue of immigration and what it means for the British economy and for our businesses. The Home Secretary, Amber Rudd, has defended her plans to promote British jobs going to British workers, although she certainly didn't use that language. That was Gordon Brown language from 2009, really. But it's essentially a very, very tricky issue, lots of divided opinions. We're going to be hearing plenty of different views coming up throughout the programme. See you soon.
Victoria, we'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Now,
7:22 is the time now.
Employing British workers was one of the key things outlined in the Conservative Party conference today. Official figures show how many people are out of work.
Question is, should businesses be doing more to employ people here before recruiting overseas? Victoria's at a factory in Birmingham Forest this morning. Morning to you, Victoria.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Lou. And good morning to you at home. Yeah, we're here because we're talking about the number of people in work and where those jobs are going. Now, about 31 million people actually have jobs in the UK. About 28 million of them are UK nationals. And about 3.5 are non-UK nationals. And they have found themselves at the centre of a fierce debate, and also, of course, the businesses that employ them, over whether or not there should be restrictions to who can apply for jobs. Now, this is all part of the Tory party conference, and we heard some of those comments from Amber Rudd. Now, I was just talking to the boss of this company here, and he was saying that without the mix of people working in this factory, particularly when it comes to thermal engineers, he just would not be able to develop new products. New products, for example, like thermal systems that are going into the next generation electric vehicles that are going out all across the world. Now, this company, it exports to about 28 countries around the world. About a quarter of its workforce are non-UK nationals. And the boss is pretty concerned about some of those comments that we heard coming out from the Tory party conference. And we're talking to the boss yet again in about half an hour's time, to other businesses as well, to get a range of views over the thorny issue of immigration and what it means for British business.
Thank you.
As well.
We're often encouraged to buy British, aren't we? Should businesses be focusing on employing British people as well?
Yeah, so there's official figures came out this morning showing how many people are in work, how many out of work as well. The government thinks companies should be doing more to recruit more workers from the UK. Victoria, it's a really emotive issue, this, as well as being a practical one about how companies react.
Yeah, it's a toxic mix, isn't it? Emotional, emotive, and also, as you say, very practical as well. Now, we know that the number of people in work in Britain is at record highs, about 31 million people. About 28 million are UK nationals, about 3.5 or thereabouts are non-UK nationals, and they found themselves at the centre of this sort of fierce debate over whether or not British jobs should go first to British workers. Now, this factory employs a mix, like lots of businesses right across the country. About 25% were born overseas. Let's speak now to the boss, Stuart Haitley. Now, Stuart, you find that you have skills shortages that you have to plug right across the business.
Correct, from top to bottom. Nearly all of the staff that you see on the shop floor here have been trained by ourselves. It's a very specialist area that we work within, and we just don't find people who come to the business with the skills that we need from day one. So it's a big investment for the business to continue the training from top to bottom, yes.
I'm going to bring in Jason Warrer. Jason is a director of one of the biggest Asian food companies in the UK. Jason, you also have skills shortages. What are you doing to try and fix them?
Well, it's a similar scenario, really. We have a mix of some migrant workers and mostly British nationals. And we've been working on training our staff for probably over 25 years now. We've had in excess of 40 apprentices in the past 2 or 3 years. And we're finding that, it is challenging to build up those skills and get the right training providers to build the skills within the business and help us grow.
And when it comes to this idea that using migrant workers is just a quick fix to sort out an issue in the labour market, is this something that you recognise and you agree with?
No, I'm not sure that's the case. I think any good business will have a long-term view on their staff and really to build the right team, to build the right skills within that team, because that inevitably is the foundation of a good business. So I think it's important. Yes, there are certain shortages in terms of short term, but actually any good business will want a long-term strategy.
I want to just quickly bring in Alp Mehmet, who's from Migration Watch. Now, you've been hearing Jason and Stuart and some of their comments about their businesses. Do they sound like lazy businessmen to you?
No, they don't sound like lazy businessmen to me at all. I think they're doing exactly the right thing. But let's face it, the people that they're employing at the moment are not going to disappear overnight. So what we're looking at is longer term for the training, to have some sensible schemes for training the sort of people that they want. And I think that's where a lot of businesses are failing at the moment. They are looking for ready-made solutions rather than considering what they may be doing in the medium term to produce their own. This part of the country was the heart of an empire producing all sorts of things. It should again be exactly that, I think. And Stuart, I think, is showing people the way. Good luck to him.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. So lots of discussion going on about where these jobs are going and whether or not there should be restrictions on who can apply for them. Back to you.
Victoria, thank you very much. It's been a very interesting conversation. We'll be back with you later. Thank you.
Now, the snowman is the time now. Thank you for those.
Yeah. We're often encouraged, aren't we, to buy British, but should businesses be focusing on employing British people as well?
Yes, official figures this morning will show how many people are out of work, how many people are in work as well, importantly. The government thinks companies should be doing more to recruit workers from the UK. Many businesses say they are doing just that. Victoria's at a factory in Birmingham Forest this morning. And Victoria, I mean, it's a practical problem looking ahead now, isn't it, post-Brexit, for the people who run places like the one you're in this morning.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Good morning to you both. Yeah, a lot of uncertainty facing British businesses about what the makeup of their labour force is going to look like over the next few years. Now, this is fairly typical of a manufacturing company here in Birmingham. They have a mix. About 22% of their workers were not born here in the UK. And that goes right the way through from the shop floor all the way up to management level. Now, one of the big issues is around the data surrounding the impact that migrant workers have on pay. Lots of conflicting stories there. I want to talk first to Alp Mehmet, who's from Migration Watch. What impact do you think migrant workers have on British salaries?
Depends on the levels. At the upper end, it has a slightly positive effect. At the medium to lower level, it actually has a negative effect. That's not Migration Watch saying it. That was the Migration Advisory Committee, the independent committee, that reached that conclusion. So I think that it's really a case of looking at those who come in to do lower skill, lower paid work that at the moment can come in freely. That's something that we've got to address.
Now, the CIPD says that there's no evidence to suggest that the use of migrant workers by British companies has had any effect or a downward effect on salaries over the last 15 years. So lots of different data available. Stuart, you are the boss here. What impact has it had on the availability of jobs at the lower end for local men and women? Because you employ a lot of migrant workers on the shop floor.
Yeah, I think the shop floor sector is a very buoyant sector with the expansion of Jaguar Land Rover in the local area, and I think the migrant workers have supplemented that labour market, which has assisted all the local industry and has also ensured that we remain competitive in the markets that we're working and trading within.
Jason, you run a food manufacturing business just round the corner. If you paid your workers more, would you get more British workers, do you think?
Well, I think the reality is, with the minimum wage being at the levels it's at, the level of pay is quite attractive anyway. So I'm not sure that it would attract more local workers. As I said, it needs to be a mix of, having a mix of employees is beneficial for any business.
And of course, one of the issues is the labour pool. If there was a restriction on the access to labour, so we didn't have that pool from the EU, what impact do you think it would have in terms of salaries in the UK?
I think it would certainly increase prices because of the fact that we're working from a smaller pool of people. But, you know, that remains to be seen.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. So a lot of things being thrown up by this. This is an emotive issue. It's also a practical one. Those latest unemployment figures are coming out at 9:30. We're expecting to see a bit of a slowdown when it comes to hiring, perhaps a little bit of a knock to confidence and optimism after that Brexit vote in June. Back to you both.
Victoria, thanks very much.